Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader with a quick update on Bitcoin. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you that I warned you about the fakes, I told you about the scammers. I wish the SEC would throw these phonies in the slammer. But in the crypto space, it's okay to be a scammer. I said in the crypto space, it's okay to be a scammer. What a load of shit. Listen to this. Careful who you trust.
And we're joined by Jacob Canfield, someone who I've known for a little bit of time now, who I really like, because not only is he a very prolific TradingView author, not only is he very accomplished in and of his own self, but most importantly, above everything else, what I love most about Jacob is he fucking verifies himself. He's one of the few people who actually verifies themselves on the good old interwebs there. So with that said, I'm going to let him tell his own story. So Jacob, let's hear it.
Hey, how's it going, man? First off, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man.
Since I got back,
I warned you about how easy it is for people to be fake in this space, and he was already suspect because some of his trades were just out of control and unbelievable. And Jacob Canfield has been exposed. Someone had basically caught him doctoring his videos, and basically he was changing the numbers on them. The guy called him out basically, and Jacob responded by saying that he didn't want to close out the group because essentially he's charging people for trading advice based on his credibility that he's a great trader, and it turns out that it's all fake. He's been basically like doctoring the posts and essentially like editing like the numbers on him to make it look like he's a better trader than he is, and like, you know, he's supposed to be like the #1 ranked TradingView trader and all this stuff. Well, he basically admits to, I mean, it's not even about him admitting to it because there's proof, and this guy's basically like, look, I'm going to turn you in to the police and basically get you in trouble for charging people for fake stuff. You're essentially a scammer. And he says he wants him to shut down his group and all his like paid stuff and everything. And Jacob says he doesn't want to do it because he employs all these people or whatever. And then he actually, like, if you don't believe any of this, he does actually come out. This is Jacob Canfield's Twitter post. He says he posted a handful of trades that were successful trades. He notes on there they were successful trades, but for some reason I felt the need to Photoshop them to make them look better. Doesn't matter if they were successful. Doesn't matter if they were unsuccessful. The fact is you scammed people to get their money with lies. Okay, and as you can see, if you go to his YouTube channel, 62.8 thousand subscribers. He went in and education for traders, fake education, scammer education for traders. He deleted all of his videos. There's the proof, though, that there are 62,800 people that believed this scammer, and all the other people associated with him that helped to build his credibility and pump him up in this space and get all these people scammed. I told you what these people want from you, especially as this bear market hits, and it's going to come very obvious. These quote unquote traders are going to start capitulating, and as people start excuse me, as people start canceling their memberships, their paid memberships to these different like groups and trade signals and all this stuff, and they start cutting costs, like these people are going to be like capitulating in the space. Or like all these people that are like fake TA guys, like that have like arisen and they have all these subscribers, and all of a sudden they're calling for a bull market and this, that, and the other, and everybody just got wrecked for like 75% of their stack. On top of already getting wrecked probably, and all of a sudden these guys are capitulating. They got 100,000 subscribers and go a week without making a video. It just cracks me up because look who's here, your boy putting out a couple a day, still scrounging with his 200 subscribers. You know what I mean? Crushing TA like it's his freaking job. But that's all aside from it. We're gonna do a quick look here. We've been talking about it, guys. We're getting close on the 4 hour to basically we're starting to get our signs. Basically we got the cross up on the jewel thief. We basically got the blue. We're above it, so we're 2/3 the way on the TD MACD, and we're up here above the short time frame moving average, in between the yellow and the red, basically looking to get the red above the yellow. And usually what happens is right as it's about to close or whatever, you'll see like a strong bounce up. So what I would expect to happen here in anticipation of this crossing over positive on the 4 hour, which is essentially like the first like time frame that you could really look at for any kind of like decent trade. Usually what will happen is we'll pop up immediately and take out that parabolic SAR, so that's like 5,700. But more realistically, we're probably going to come up to like the 50 and 55 moving average, like 6,100 area up here, give or take. So I expect very soon probably that we're either going to get like a massive smash down here, or we're going to get that skyrocket up. And the way it looks right now and the amount of pressure and everything, it looks like the oscillators are resetting for another dump. But for some reason, like, just I don't like to fight these indicators because, you know, they really work very well. So, you know, typically what happens is I catch myself fighting them, and you know, I end up being wrong. So um, you know, you're seeing different divergences depending. The problem with a situation like this is you're not going to get like really clear divergence building, because you're going to have like essentially like a false signal on one or the other, because some like indicators and oscillators take into account like candle closes, so they would go from this point here and that's what's going to show up down here accordingly, and then other ones don't. So they're going to go by like wicks or whatever. So, or you might draw your line to check for divergence. So you're going to check this as the low, and then that's like a higher low. But somebody else might be looking at it and say, that's the low because that's where the candle closed at, and this doesn't matter. And then they look at this and say, okay, that's a low, that's a lower low. So you have a bunch of people looking at this and saying that's a low and a lower low. You have a bunch of people looking at this saying that's a low and a higher low. As where if it's clear, you know, if there's no doubt with a massive wick like this that goes below, if you either have a shorter wick that's above it, or you know, a longer body that's below it, you have confluence, and everyone's going to be looking at the same thing. But right now you have different people doing technical analysis looking at different things, so you don't have that same confluence, so you're not going to gain the same confidence that you would in a situation where you have, like, you know, multiple things lining up. So but basically we're looking to get that crossover shortly. A lot of times what will happen though is we'll get the slingshot. We'll get the little stab up here. We'll get the throw over, as I like to call it. We'll push up here, take out the parabolic SAR, and indicate that we are in fact going into an uptrend on the 4-hour. And then a lot of times that'll be used for liquidity to like basically like break out. We could come right up to this point right here, you know what I mean? And that'd be a third wick right up to this area, get denied, smash down, and then we could come down anywhere from like here, here, or a new low. And then from there we could potentially like build our divergence, you know, get a better idea as to what's happening now. Now alternatively, if this does just shoot up and the market has confidence, we get to this area right here and it starts holding, you know, at the 50, it's very possible we could get the bounce up after that. The next target will be the 90 at like 67.75, 6800, or more realistically we could check like the break, test a breakdown at like 7700. Depending on how like the stock market reacts, if we get continuation on that rally, you know, anything could happen here. So I mean, there's definitely some possibilities. I wouldn't get too greedy with anything, you know, right at this second though. Again, I think these markets are just seeing like a little bit of like a relief rally or a dead cat bounce. We're clearly in a downtrend on like all substantial time frames. I do want to switch over here. Here's our daily. We got the hard buy up here, you know, way at the top. And, you know, we were talking about how we didn't buy it, obviously. And then that was a false signal. And really what that was is it was, you know, basically like whales and market makers like manipulating, you know, trying to basically like signal people into a position like that. That's why you don't want to try to call the bottom with these things. You know what I mean? You're way better off waiting for confirmation, you know, from the market, from the trend. But we did get the jewel stab down here. We did get the green, but it never came down far enough on this whole massive dump. It didn't come down far enough to be able to get the hard buy signal. So, you know, that's not a strong buy. A lot of times it'll still be, that'll be the one that you're looking for, but it's not a strong buy. Now we are getting our first green histogram right here, so that's a good sign on the daily. Again, it is starting to look like we could see like a little relief like pop up here. The weekly is looking great right now, but it's still so early in the week, and this is exactly what we're talking about. We were expecting to get the sell-off and then the pop back up to retest the 200s. So we made it back to the 200 simple, but we haven't made it to the 200 exponential yet. So I think it's still realistic to think we could come back up to that 58.47 range and retest that. And again, I still think 6,400 or even like 6,900 is possible, because the market likes for confirmation to break down and then retest the breakdown point and then sell back off. Now, does that mean we can't sell back off to a new low, come down, tag the 377, hit 3,500, then come back up? Yeah, of course that's possible. But at this point in time, you know, look at your risk reward. What's more likely to happen right now? Are we more likely to travel this little bit of distance or that massive bit of distance? So there you have it. I mean, we got basically a great spot to manage our risk off of. Now the problem is that we're in a downtrend now. So we don't want to take trades to the upside necessarily. We got massive resistance right above our head. So realistically, what's the trade to take? And this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. So please do your own research and trade responsibly. But if I was looking at this, this is the distance right here. If we can get above here and close above the 200 exponential, I'd say I'm wrong on a short for sure, and we're definitely just going to go to the upside and probably test like the 89 and try to stop that cross, right? Yeah, of course. That's it, moving average wise. And now, how are we going to know if we're wrong right here? If we can't get above there, we know we're wrong, and then what's most likely to happen? We're going to come back down here and retest the lows, or come down to the 377. So look at the amount that we need to know if we're wrong. This little itty bitty bit right here, from when we're at right now to know we're wrong, that's 12%, 11.5%, okay? 11.5%, and we know a short was wrong. We should have went long, you know what I mean? Because we're going up. Now look, if we took the trade right here and we took it to the downside, that's 28%, all right? So 11.5 to 28%, that's over 2.5, 2.5 to 1 basically, like up or downside, like risk reward. So, at this point in time, if you were just going to flip a coin and say up or down, the trade is to the downside. Like, odds are on your side. It's more likely to go back down. Not to mention, you have two massive wicks to the downside. So although that is like bullish, that's like, in this situation, you have to look like the relevance of it. So normally, like, massive rejection wick would be good like that, right? But what is that massive rejection wick? It's only a portion of like probably one of the biggest candles we've ever seen in this space. Like not necessarily like percentage wise, but dollar wise, I mean, or actually really both. I mean, when we were at 20,000, we were seeing like massive like dollar swings, but percentage wise, this is still a massive swing. It's essentially one candle that was, I think it was like over 50% dump. So, yeah, you would expect to see, some relief, some buying pressure come back in. But now what you would expect to see is to just kind of like slowly, like just kind of round off and then sell back down. So if we come up here and we get rejected, like strongly, or if we just kind of come up and we start just like rolling over, I think it's more likely, we're going to come back down. And regardless, typically markets like to just know for sure. And the way they know for sure is they retest like breakdown points or like, resistance support accordingly. So, but there we have a quick little update on Bitcoin on a little bit longer time frames. Let's remember, what that red means. Look how long that lasted for. Last time we got it, it lasted for so long after it turned red. And, it's possible that this is our retest and it's already played out, like that bounce up. It's possible that we're going to get some continuation and come all the way back here and try to like stop these bearish crosses on all these moving averages. But at this point in time, the way the markets are reacting and everything, like I wouldn't expect that to happen. I wouldn't expect us to get a massive move back up. But this is the like, there's obviously all this black swan stuff going on here. We're seeing like silver, gold, everything's getting wrecked, oil, Boeing, like all kind of stuff, like world economy shutting down, like, people are getting sick, obviously. It's a very unfortunate situation. But realistically, the market cap on, you can't even buy like real silver and gold right now. Like actual gold and silver is like sold out everywhere online pretty much. I mean, you might be able to scramble up a couple pieces here and there, but no good volume. And normally you can get like gold and silver for like, 20 cents over spot or whatever, like free delivery and everything. And right now, like silver's trading at like a $2 and $3 premium over spot, and it's still mostly sold out. So what's that tell you is people are already scrambling for real assets. So, with the Fed's injection of like 150, or what was it, 1.5 trillion? Gosh, I can't even keep track of these numbers because they don't even sound real. 150 trillion? No, I don't even know. 1.5 trillion, I think it was. 150 billion times 10 is 1.5 trillion. Yeah, that sounds right. Anyway, so this massive amount of money, they're just basically like adding to the balance sheet. They're printing it out of nowhere, like digitally. They're digitally printing all this extra money. So essentially, they're devaluing our currency. So what that means is the buying power of your actual dollar is going to go down. So it's going to seem like the prices of everything else, like hard assets, is going up. So I would expect like silver and gold, although they may not like turn around right away, but over time they're going to become like actually scarce, and then the price is going to reflect it. So like you may see like these digital assets like crashing on the screen or whatever, but in all actuality, like gold and silver are like becoming more and more scarce as everybody's like scrambling to try to buy them. And same with real estate markets, like they'll crash in the short term and everything as people like lose their jobs and can't afford to pay and like have to like downgrade to like smaller places because everything was like overpriced and rents overpriced, and all this stuff like falling off, getting foreclosed on, whatever, over like time, over years, whatever. And then that's when over time you start seeing all this stuff kind of collapsing in, and then people will start swooping up, all the smart money comes in and grabs up all this real estate when it's at like basically the bottom of the bubble pop. And that's how you're going to see like all these hard assets is gold and silver and all that start getting swooped up. And now my whole point is that at any point in time, because the market cap of Bitcoin is so small, and because it's just readily available to like anybody with access to like an on or off ramp, obviously like exchanges, but there's like it's scarce, but it's also like available in the sense that somebody can just come on and I haven't looked at the market cap today or anything, but I think it's back down to like $150 billion. So it's not hard to think that although it is like obviously a risk on asset, and most people are getting away from the risk on assets, it's not unbelievable to think that there's a couple whales out there that believe in cryptocurrency, believe in blockchain technology, and have enough money to buy enough of it and protect their position, that it could decouple from all these markets, and we could see it like become that legitimate hedge. Now, is that going to be at $5,400? I don't know. Is it going to be at, 3,000, 2,500, 1,300, 800? Is it going to crash to zero because it gets hacked? I don't know. You know what I mean? There's no way to tell for sure. And, we'll see signs along the way, most likely. Everybody's saying there's no way you could have seen this. All these like influencers in the space saying there's no way anybody could have seen this. Like all these technical guys trying to say they saw this coming. Like, I mean, we saw it coming. We have documented proof. And that's what this channel is all about. Go back and look. You may not find my like, Jacob Canfield style trades on here or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't even like to divulge like the dollar amounts of my trades because honestly, like just being in this space, like, puts my own self at risk. I'm very familiar with like a lot of, the different digital risks and Trojans and all kind of stuff that, people would potentially use to like, obviously like steal your money, steal your info, etc. So you have to be very careful in this space. But you also have to be careful of the scammers. Be careful of the people that's trying to charge you like $100 a month for like their signals and their trade groups and like all their services, and they don't even have like real proprietary assets. Like they're basically just like the face of somebody else's like hard work. And I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. If you want to like hire an actor or whatever, but just make sure that you're like divulging to people, that that's all you are, is like an actor or a personality. Don't lie and fake and scam and cheat people out of their hard-earned money. And the worst part is that this is like a double scam when somebody does something like this. When somebody endorses like a sellout chain, somebody with like 100,000 subscribers who like gets on and basically like shills BitConnect because it got paid by them, and then gets like 100,000 people wrecked in BitConnect and still has 100,000 followers and is still like a popular influencer in the space, and like shield BitConnect to the moon and got people wrecked. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, I guess because so many people have come and gone, people don't realize that like these people just reinvent themselves and nobody like calls them out for being a scammer or a OG or whatever. But it's pretty sad. It's very unfortunate to see this kind of stuff happening. And especially somebody who's been in the space like me and only been an influencer for a while, so I don't have the same reach to like warn people. And I'm also not trying to start any wars with anybody or like disrespect anybody. I just want to warn the community, that the fakes and the frauds and the phonies are out there. And I don't claim to know it all. It is technical analysis. I am wrong sometimes, and it sucks when I am wrong. But like I was saying with Jacob, the thing that sucks is he was not only taking people's money, like for a false information, basically like as like fraudulent, fake, phony like person, basically giving them advice based on false results that he like doctored on his computer, like changing the numbers around. But also people are losing their money in the market, sometimes like thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I mean, is it hard to believe that one of his 60,000 YouTube followers, or even, thousands of followers on TradingView, could have lost like $1 million leverage position? Yeah, I definitely think so. I definitely think that somebody could have got, he could have got somebody wrecked for, potentially tens, hundreds, or even $1 million. And, that is absolutely pathetic. And, if somebody takes trading advice from you, and, you're representing yourself in, an honest way, by all means. But if you got somebody who's paying you for trading advice and you're scamming them, you're lying, you're doctoring your trades, that is like the lowest low. And honestly, like, should go to jail for that. And to all the people that still subscribed to that channel after, like, it's clear that he's guilty, it's very, very sad. Like, I would expect that followers to drop down to zero. Realistically, though, like, most of those people are probably gone from the space because they probably got wrecked on his like fake TA and everything. So I'm sure that account will be deleted soon. I'm sure he'll pop back up at some point in time, with the alibi or whatever. Maybe people are forgive him because, they like his occasional videos. But the guy's had fake TA for so long. It's been so phony. You could tell when he gets on and does his like fake fraud videos. It's very sad. And then when he was like showing his trade results, like, it was crazy. I remember watching one of his videos and I was like, man, this dude is a liar. He just like running off all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, when everything's bullish, like, yeah, it's great. You do have a bunch of like winner trades and everything, but like, let's be real here. Come on, dude. Like, get out of here. But anyway, just be careful in the space, guys. Crypto trend trader, man. Just trying to look out for the community, warn everybody. There's a lot of like fake personality out here. There's a lot of people that act one way, in this space, but in real life, are a completely different person. They try to act like all lewd and obnoxious and you know loud and cocky, but in real life, you meet a person like that and they're timid, they're a beta, they're not an alpha like they try to pretend to be on the internet. And that's what it is for a lot of these guys that come on here and try to be an alpha, and it doesn't work for them. And another one too is like, look at the guys who were like literally a week before and even some of them during this massive dump crash are making like price prediction, like shill videos for like trash bag altcoins that they have like bags of. I mean, who possibly could even think to make price predictions for this year currently with everything that's going on? And if you were going to make price predictions, like, honestly, right now, if you were going to make price predictions, anybody that knows anything and that's like educated enough to be doing videos about price predictions, for potentially like 9 months in the future, like the remainder of this year, will be making them to the downside, not to the upside. Like, are you serious right now? You're going to make price predictions to the upside? You're going to get people wrecked after you already got them wrecked because you've been bullish forever? Oh, this space is terrible, man. All the money lost in this space. All the whales just cleaning house with all the suckers in this market. Just be careful who you're listening to, guys, and be careful who's like, gambling or quote unquote trading habit you're fueling. But we'll see over time. The fakes are going to drop out again as the bear market approaches. I remember not too long ago in the space, there was no new people, no new content, and only as the price action picked up and it got like crazy and we went back into this little bull run, did we see like the content on YouTube and TradingView and all these people start getting bullish and creating all these trading groups and all these like charge services and everything. And it's very sad that people are going to chase the money and scam you out of it quick. You don't learn this stuff overnight, and it's going to become very obvious very soon. Who knows what's going on and who is educated in this space, and who isn't. And I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes and everything, but you don't get a second chance on something like that, man. I mean, he even came out after the guy like basically called him out. Jacob Canfield did, and said, you know, I haven't done that in years. That was when I first started trading, da da da. And then dude like came back out and like showed screenshots of like him getting called out and like behind closed doors, and then literally doctoring another post like right afterwards, like within like a couple days of this happening. So he's obviously like not sorry about it. He was already caught and still try to lie his way out of it, scam his way out of it. Anything, tries to appeal to your emotions by saying he doesn't want to have to lay off his staff. Like, get out of here, man. You're a scammer. You're dirt. You're the worst of the worst. You're out here on that big connect game scamming people. Pathetic. Anyway, crypto trend trader, look for that cross on the shorter time frame. Look for that stab up. Look for that potential bullish move. We're forming another, this time we got basically the moving average on top coming up to it, ascending triangle, okay? We got that sell wall stopping price from breaking through it. So one of two things going to happen. We're either going to exhaust that sell wall and we're going to bust through it and shoot to the upside and immediately just pop right up to like 6 grand, or we're going to get rejected again. And like that triangle before that we were forming, bullish pattern, and then we get like the fake out. But either way, I think we'll most likely get a stab up. So, because what it likes to do, it likes to come up here and hit this parabolic SAR and then reverse. Because then it says bullish and then it goes bearish, like sells off afterwards. Like right here, what is it? Right here, it popped up and it said bullish right here, bullish trend. So you would have like thought by the parabolic SAR in the 4 hour, like, okay, it's bullish. I'm going to buy right here. Or maybe we at this candle close. I don't know where you would have bought necessarily, depending on your trading plan. But look, if you would have bought anywhere here, we never got back above that price. So it's like a fake out. So, and then here, same thing happens. We basically take out the buy right here. So we go bearish right there. And then look, we pop up the whole time. So, on shorter time frames, in like a, non-trending market, like a consolidation, you can't trust this parabolic SAR. It's actually the opposite. It usually gets taken out and then reverses. So you can almost counter trend trade this in like shorter time frames. But again, I got two indicators. This is 2 out of 3 steps right here. We got the blue flipped over. The price is above it on the histogram. The only yeah, I mean that's obviously like good sign. We're crossed over right here. We had the jewel poke out the bottom, or the knife poke out the bottom on the jewel thief. We had the knife poke out the bottom. We got the cross. Blue's on the way up. We're strengthening to the upside. And then, again here, as soon as we get the pop up here, we'll be green on the parabolic SAR. We'll also get the cross of the 2 short time moving averages. And then, like, all of these will be poking up to the upside and, indicating, obviously, like, further upside action. Which, like I said, it's not necessarily the best trade to take, because we're in a clearly downtrending market. So we'd much rather take like a short. So typically any kind of push up here, especially if we get that test back up to that same level again at 6,000. 6,001 is like a big round number. People like that kind of stuff to like buy and sell, etc. It's also like where these 2 wicks came up to, and it's also going to line up perfectly with our short time frame moving average. But again, we could even get it up to the 66 on the daily and then reverse that parabolic SAR and do the exact situation I was describing on the parabolic SAR, flip it over green, and then get that immediate sell-off. So, but at this point in time, I'm still bearish. There's nothing telling me don't be bearish in these markets, in the stock market, anything. This is like a relief rally. It's, exciting to see these things push back up, but there is no reason to think that immediately after we just reverse this trend to the downside, that these markets are going to start going up. So, and in altcoins cases, and some real assets in real life, they've been in a downtrend already for years, or in some cases their entire lives. So the last thing I would think right now that you should be investing your money in is things with no actual purpose or use. And when I say you, I mean myself. But like me, and I'm not going to go out and start like buying into like weak things with no like fundamental or technicals like telling me that they're strong. So if something's been in like a multi-year downtrend or a downtrend for its entire existence, that's the most likely thing that I would think most educated people will be getting out of. So although you may see like temporary little bounces or relief rallies on these things as they're getting wrecked, I would expect all those things to sell off worse or stronger than something like Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin may act as essentially like a hedge in the crypto market. So, as it obviously has in the past, where it may not go down as much as some of the altcoins. But in all reality, I think, at this point in time, like everything's going to continue going down. And again, that's long-term trending trades. I'm not saying we can't just like pop up here, like I said, a few $100s and test some of these moving averages. But be careful who you listen to. Be careful who you get trading advice from. And you work really hard for your money. So number one, protect it in these markets. But number two, stop paying phonies and fakes and scammers. Oh man, what a sad space. And be careful out there, guys. Be careful with everything. Take precautions. Don't get greedy with your financials. Don't do foolish things with your health. And reach out to your loved ones. Take this time to spend it with your family. And if you can't spend it with them specifically, talk to them on the phone. Get on video conference with them or whatever it is. Just reach out to your loved ones, because people are going to suffer through this, and some will die as well. And it's very unfortunate. We're going to have to just see what happens. We don't know how the government's going to handle it down the road. Some people have mixed feelings on how they've handled it so far. But the fact of the matter is our government's big, and world governments have handled it in many different ways. We haven't handled it necessarily the worst, and I can't say necessarily that we've handled it the best. But as of now, I think people are doing what they can. Countries are doing what they can. Just got to keep it together, and everybody just hold your family close, and hold your cash close in the meantime, and protect your wealth. Because we are going to see some crazy turmoil, and it's time to really take this stuff seriously if you haven't been already. And I think anybody that's looking at world markets obviously is taking it serious. It's more like the people on Facebook or in real life that just are completely out of connection with the actual world. Have no idea that it's really melting down. They just think there's some conspiracy flu theory going around, to shut down the election or to crash the stock market or whatever. At this point in time, it's whatever your conspiracy theory is, that's fine if you want to talk about it. It's fine if you want to keep it to yourself. But the fact of the matter is this is a legitimate global pandemic. This is a black swan event, not only with mortgage rates, but we also have clearly all the markets crashing. We have the sickness as well. We have oil, war basically going on. So there's some crazy turmoil going on right now, and as it gets into turmoil, there tends to be more turmoil. So things will probably continue to get worse until they don't. In the same way, trending market trends. I would think trending behavior or trending lifestyles trends. So as we see basically this money printing and the last ditch effort of the Fed and the government to maintain control and pump liquidity into the market, we're going to see these bailouts coming in again, and they're going to try to give the people a little cash or whatever, or tax breaks or free health care, whatever it is, and usher in essentially this desperation for socialism. But in all reality, today in the meeting basically where they addressed the nation on the coronavirus and everything, one of the reporters specifically asked about was there going to be specific limitations or laws put into place to stop basically the bailout money getting given to executives for bonuses or travel, vacations, etc. And they basically just avoided the question, went on a 5-minute unrelated tangent, and then just went on to the next. So that's exactly what we saw last time with the bailouts in these markets. Basically the bank executives taking massive bonuses and vacations, and essentially just taking all the taxpayer Fed printed bailout money and devaluing all of our assets, and then taking that money and turn around and reinvesting it in whatever they choose, or spending it on houses, vacations, whatever it is that they want. So very sad that we can't get a straight out answer ever on anything. And that oh man, the other one too that they just did was kind of behind closed doors. They announced obviously they did zero rates, and we got that 100 base point cut, 1% down to zero, which is crazy. But also, after they just said they're not doing it, but it's also crazy is that behind closed doors, they also eliminated the 10% requirement for fractional reserve lending. So as where banks used to before, basically take in $1,000 from a deposit from a customer, and then they had to keep 100 of that $1,000, and then they could loan out the other 900. But they could loan it out using fractional reserve lending. So they could basically loan out $9,000, for every $100 they kept through fractional reserve lending. But instead now the Fed has eliminated the 10%, so they literally don't have to keep any assets whatsoever on hand. So basically they're going to have empty vaults, with a bunch of digital fake money and all the actual money that we work hard for and deposit, and the real assets are basically just going to get inflated to nothing. So it's going to take time. This is definitely going to be a process. I don't think anyone should rush back into any of these markets. And the last thing I would do right now is purchase property. Unless it's like literally for somewhere for you to actually live. The most important thing to do in a recession or depression is to minimize your costs as much as you can. Make sure that your health is good and you're taken care of, that you're eating healthy, like mental health, like all that stuff. But basically just to reduce costs, and just grind it out. Try to get rid of your highest interest rate debt. And basically, like, once we can confirm a bottom is in on some of these asset classes, you can start like reinvesting. Once we're in a confirmed uptrend, we can get back in and start layering back into these assets for like long-term investing, and also trading. But in the meantime, we do want to stay trending trades and trade with the trend, which is obviously down on all time frames now. So, crypto trend trader, a little Bitcoin, and crypto technical analysis. Another phony fraud in the space exposed. Hopefully he will disappear, and his fake lies and deceit will disappear as well. And those that endorsed him and shared his posts and helped to make him famous and scam people out of their hard-earned money, hopefully eventually they will be exposed and go away as well. So, crypto trend trader, and I'm out of here.